Then what we really have, we're not using the slice tool here, was of course it's not within the scope of this course. And then next we have the rectangle tools. This will work almost similarly. The basic shape that we'll most probably be utilizing is the rectangle. I will drag the rectangle and we can create a square with the rectangle similarly, just like we created the frame by pressing shift and expanding it. You can shrink that down like this, and it will do so uniformly with shift. And what if we were to go left? If you wish to increase the height, you can certainly do that. If you want to increase the width, we can also do it this way. And once we have, for example, set it, and then if we wish to enlarge it based on this specific width and height, then we can of course lock the aspect ratio as well. The next time we increase it, there will be no need to press the shift key. Due to the aspect ratio being locked, we will have uniform expansion. Next, of course, since we currently have this polygon tool, there will be a clear difference between the polygon tool and the frame. I'm going to take the frame as well. I'll press the F key and create a frame right here for us. For now, to demonstrate, if I select this, and if you look in the hierarchy, you'll see here that we have a frame. This is the frame we have, and if you hover over it, the frame will also be listed. Then we have a rectangle, it is a piparanla, which is a polygonal tool and a shape, and hovering over it will also make the rectangle visible. Now there will be another difference here, of course, because frames are used for applying auto layouts. I will explain that in a short while. So what exactly is this auto layout that we have? Well, a frame for us is primarily utilized to make use of the auto layout feature, whereas we use a rectangle to create various shapes, different kinds of shapes, to give form to different sections, or we utilize it in such a manner wherever we need to create our visual elements. That's when we for icons, for example, in sections related to such elements, we are predominantly using rectangles. Here, at the specific point where we, of course, don't need to employ auto layout or meticulously organize elements, and where our primary requirement is simply shapes. For instance, if we desire an image's shape to be presented in a perfectly circular form, then by utilizing basic rectangles and subsequently decreasing their corner radius, we can, for example, effortlessly achieve that desired circular shape. And following that, we are then able to effectively utilize it. For example, to place an image piano, we can utilize these kinds of elements, and where we don't have to implement auto layout, just need to give a specific shape to an object, or when we need to create icons, at that particular point we would be utilizing the rectangle tool. The second point, which of course I'm going to explain, is that we have a frame available. Once the frame is selected, I will press enter on it, and pressing enter will then show you no more children to select. And when I select this particular item, and when I press enter, this mode becomes active for us. You could say it's like a vector mode, or an edit mode has now opened up for us, and we can change all of its shapes. Unlike the one that we had as it was framed, we are unable to make any changes to the existing shapes of the frame. And what exactly do I mean by modifying them? For instance, I'm going to select this particular point right here, and then I will begin to move this specific point in this manner, and just like that, we have successfully modified the overall shape of the rectangle that was originally present. We are able to move these points in various directions. For instance, if we need to create an icon, we can easily change its shapes in this manner and then create an icon. This is precisely how we can utilize the rectangle tool effectively, and naturally the edit mode can be enabled within this, whereas it is not possible to enable it in a frame. And this indeed was the second key difference. Once we've activated our edit mode, different options become visible again on our original toolbox or toolkit, let's say. A shortcut has opened up above it. The first one here is the section tool. Then we have the lasso. With the lasso, we can usually make selections in that manner. For multi-selection, we can select using the lasso. Next, we have the shape builder tool available to us. I'll explain the shape builder tool by first taking a copy of this object. To create a copy, we can simply use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl+C, then Ctrl+V. The duplicate copy has been placed right on top of the original object. The newly created copy, we can then drag it away to separate it, or I'll simply undo the last action. And if I need to take a copy of this, I will press and hold the alternate key down and then drag with the mouse to create a new shape. And in this manner, we can easily create a new shape. This is the shortcut key, the one we'll be using. Now I'm going to explain the shape builder tool to you, and for that purpose, what we'll do is we'll merge this shape with this one little bit, for example, at this specific point. Now if we observe, these two shapes are currently existing separately, and let me just undo that, and we want to consider for now that these are two distinct parts within one rectangle. So what we actually want to do is duplicate this outside of its current position. So first of all, I will close this, or if you press the escape key, it will automatically close. I will then drag this, and then I will rotate it, and we will align it perfectly with this. So for now, if we consider we have two rectangles, and the two rectangles that we have right here, they are placed in different positions. For instance, we want this to become a single unified shape so that we only have one instance of it, and when we make other selections, it should appear just once. And to achieve this, one method is that after selecting both of these elements, we could either organize them within a frame, or more commonly what we prefer to utilize instead, since we don't intend to apply any auto layout to them, is to where auto layout is not required, then other elements, if we need to organize these items under a particular group, we then bring them into group selection. I will right click on this and you'll see the group selection option here, or you can simply press Ctrl G. So now we are effectively inside one of our groups. So we have an outer group right here. I'm going to select this one just like so. And inside that specific group, we have this particular shape. This was the first method. And when we need this group or frame, if we need to remove it, we'll press Ctrl and backspace, and then our group will be gone. It will be closed for us, and our two rectangular polygon shapes will be placed again. And if we try to move them now, they are separate shapes, not under any group. So then of course they won't remain combined. And secondly, of course, because we were talking about the shape builder tool, so I will now select both of these items, and then I'll press the enter key, and then because we are ready, I'm going to select the shape builder tool. By the way, you can press the M key to activate this tool. Pressing B will again activate the selection tool for you, and with the M key, the shape builder tool is what gets selected. And the shape builder tool will now allow us to merge these shapes together. Share the significant advantage of doing this is that instead of having two separate rectangles, we will then have just one single rectangle. Yes, this will make it much easier for us to place and organize it effectively. But of course, because these shapes are going to be destructive, and after this, these shapes cannot be undone. And once they've been combined, then to combine them, what exactly will we do? For now, we have the plus sign that's appearing. To delete ये point, you'll press alternate in and it's removing it. If I click on this section is removed. And for example, Policia, we had to remove the midpoint, which is the merging point, and if I click on this point is removed. But we need to combine this entire shape. So what I'm going to do is I will click on this, and then by dragging this line, I will pass it through various different sections from which I want the combination of all four elements, their final output, to become clearly visible and for them to combine effectively. So I have now selected these 3 or 4 selections, and when I will click and then release. So we now have just one rectangle created. Previously we had 2, and now we have 1. In this, various points have now merged and the extra points have been removed, and so when I press the escape key, this is again a single shape. But as I previously mentioned, this is destructive. We can't easily revert it to its previous state because these two rectangles have now been combined into a single one.
And if we need to,
We'll need to do it separately. We'll need to separate them. So again, we'll have to cut these shapes, only then can we separate them. Now these two rectangles won't be separate anymore. And for this, let's look at the next point. This is our fill tool, and the fill tool is used to apply the different fills that we have. So rather than applying it from here, we usually,
right hand.
however, from the fill option within the UI window that we have, we control it, changing its color and other properties. Next, we would have the pen tool. Thus, the pen tool is useful for example, when we have points. And if I click on this point and then drag it, then in this manner, handles will be created for us. And these handles allow us to control its shape both to the left and to the right. And the closer you are to it, the sharper this particular point will become. And the farther away you move, you see, of course, the band that we observe will significantly increase. To that same extent, the corner of the circular form will become much more apparent to us. And the closer we keep it, of course, the sharper we will have it available. It will be a point, it will have a sharp shape. And for example, if we want to remove this point, I will drag this point over its existing point and then drop it. So in this way, the band that we had created earlier will now be gone. And next we have the cut tool. We can also activate it by pressing X. For example, if we want to cut from this particular shape, okay, and the moment we had cut and then dragged this, let me undo that, and this specific point we cut, and when we dragged it, the fill that we had, it was no longer continuous. These 2 points are now no longer combined together, and because of this, what we have is this. In the fill, you can see that the color which was previously applied is no longer visible. So with the help of this cut tool, we can easily cut various shapes. And next, to join this shape, if we need to connect it to a new point, what exactly should we do? We will simply select the pen tool. I will press P key and we are back on the pen tool again. So that I said that the automatic selection was already on that specific point, and by clicking on this, I will then click right on top of it, and in this manner our shape has once again been successfully joined, and now we have a brand new point available, and this particular point was the one that we had previously cut. So in this way we have effectively cut out and extracted a new point. Then we have this tool is for setting our stroke, and again, similarly, just like we were doing for fill, instead of that we are controlling the stroke here, and usually we control the stroke manually from here. So in this way we can also adjust the stroke. You can expand the stroke or you can decrease it. So in this way, we utilize our shape tools, or you could refer to them as these edit options, or perhaps the vector enabled options that are available to us. And by pressing the escape key, or if I click on close, of course this window will close for us, and to activate it again we will simply press enter. Next, similarly we have different shapes. We have those of lines, and in this again we have different strokes. We also have different properties, which I will briefly explain to you right now. We will proceed. We will briefly look at fill, but now first of all let's take a look at stroke. I'm just the system. Or tree stroke is the border that we have on the outline of any given point. Similarly, just like we applied a black stroke here, this is the border of any vector shape that we have. This is its border. Any corner we have towards to, it will be applied to our stroke. So similarly, I had taken the line tool. Of course, since there is no fill in it, the stroke that we have, and here we have, it has its color, its opacity, its visibility, or we can even remove it completely from here. And of course here we have its position. I will explain the position a little bit after we discuss the weight. And regarding the weight, we can increase it to control how much width or height it possesses, especially if we have placed the shape in this particular form, for example like this. So what is its height and dimension, and what is its thickness? In short, we can say this. And now if I explain the center, currently at the top we have this line in the middle. The scale that is present at its top and bottom is uniformly applied, which has been created at the top and at the bottom. When I set it to inside, of course its shape has now completely changed. Let me select, and of course to understand this properly we will go to this option, and for now we will see that this is the outline we have, and the shape that is on the stroke is our it's on the inner side of this shape, and of course we have position inside. And if I center it, then the center position is now the center point, and in this the stroke is applied on both the inner and outer sides, and we would want, for example, just on the outer side. So this is how we can apply the stroke on the outer side.
And in the line tool, of course,
The line that we have in our possession is a vector polygon. So in this particular context, we were similarly just changing and controlling the stroke. And then of course at the very end we also have a starting point and an ending point, which is actually a little bit better to explain right here, as opposed to over there. So right here we have a drop down menu, and within it there's a start point and an end point. Let me just select that, and then we also have,
okay.
yeah, so we have a start point and an end point. Right now both the start point and end point have none selected. If I round it, we can see that our shapes, the start and end points, have become round. So this is how their shapes can be. We can do that also. For example, if I needed its shape to be different right now, or instead of the end I needed a different one, then I can change that too, and in this way I can adjust its shape according to the requirement, whatever I need. Let me select it. If you want to make the selection easily, of course it can be done from here, even from Arc. So similarly we have different arrows, we have rectangles, there was a reverse triangle, a circle. Usually we weren't really utilizing these, and typically we either set them to none or we need an around shape, which is what we usually end up using. And squares, yeah, of course they work quite similar to none. So this is how we utilize the line tool. Then we have the arrow tool, and it will work in a very similar fashion. If I increase the weight of the arrow tool a little bit, then naturally the endpoint here is shifted, and from here we can shuffle this object and we can also change its direction. So This gives us the arrow, of course, and similarly we also have the ellipse tool available. So we can easily create an ellipse shape, and if we press the shift key on it again, it will uniformly scale, either increasing or decreasing its size. And within the polygon tool we are able to create various polygons. Initially we have the option of a basic rectangle shape. Then if we choose to increase the number of sides for these rectangles, for instance up to 4, we will then observe a distinct diamond shape appearing. By continuously increasing this value, we can generate many different shapes and create them in this manner. In the circular tool material, I will explain one more thing. If we have an arc and we click on that point and start dragging it, we can create different parts of a circle. For example, we can create a half circle if we need it. We can create a 1/3 circle. We can create a 3/4 circle. Sorry, we can do that. 1/3 is needed. If we need a quarter, we can create it in this manner, and the major values that are present there here in the properties panel, they will be provided to us. We will be able to control those. We can also control the ratio itself. I will click on this specific point, and then when I drag it away, our circle will then take this particular shape. And for example, if we require visually, we need to create a circle in such a way that it has fill and other properties, so we can both create and control our circle effectively. And similarly, within the polygon tool, as I've already explained, we can easily increase or decrease the number of sides or the count. And finally, we have the stars tool. With the stars tool as well, naturally we can modify its count, making it higher or lower. And of course, we can also adjust the angle, specifically its ratio, to suit our preferences. And lastly, of course, there's an option to import and export images. From there, we can import and export images to our system. And similarly, when we insert any of these shapes in the UI key, the option that becomes active allows us to select the pen tool as well. So apart from other options, so we can also select it manually, or I'll press the escape key once to remember these paths, and then I will manually select the pen tool from here. We can also create shapes using the pen tool. This is how I will enter and sorry, I'll connect this with the last point on the right side, because this particular shape isn't filled or complete yet. So once I click on the final endpoint, this shape will automatically be completed. Now inside this will, because the stroke is applied for now, and at this point, if we, or when you click on fill, pause the inner shape, or pause whatever its outer corner, border radius, or stroke may be. Pause the entire portion within that inner shape, and the pause, that is what we call fill. Pause, and we can apply the same color to it at this pause. So in this way, our the fill will be applied, and the stroke will be for our corners and for our borders. So in this way, with SCSC, successfully created the shape with the pen tool. We can then proceed to modify this shape further exactly as per our specific needs and requirements. For example, so and in this way we can create that and design various shapes however we wanted. And the icons, we are creating things using that very same tool, other than from those rectangle tools or the line tool or perhaps the ellipse tool when we are actually using the ellipse. Anyway, as this is how our